Tune in to 601 Jackson Network, Real Jackson News. Hey everybody, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, I was just outside, kind of feeling the breeze for a minute. Just thought I'd come on for a minute to kind of, you know, give some opinions on something that I was reviewing. Had a city council meeting. Was it yesterday? Let me see. So I'm kind of like in between. It was talking about what was going on with the airport in the water. Yeah, but that airport is tied up. Like I said, the airport is tied up. Now they're talking about one entity taking over another entity, but they're not clear on who's controlling the second entity that wants to take over this entity. There's some slick stuff going on. Real slick. But I'm not, because it's not clear. You know, they saying, well, one entity is called the JMAA to the JMAAA, three A's. But they never said who was it that's going to be in charge of that entity. They never said that. I really didn't hear it, and I could be wrong. I may have skipped over. I may have I may have had a selected hearing on it, but I didn't hear it. So but yeah, it's some stuff going on with that airport. Because when you're talking about 2 million, last time I heard it was like a $2 million surplus. It's probably more now, because that might have been 5 or 6 years ago. They had a $2 million surplus. In fact, it was talking about it when when Yarborough was it, yeah, when Tony Yarborough was mayor. He was talking about it. This was like right after Lumumba Senior had passed away. And they was talking about that airport. And at that time it was like a $2 million surplus. When you talking about bread, man, these folks, folks is writing all types of legislation, and they doing all kinds of different things in order to, and wording things certain ways, certain languages and jargon that they're using that that can take things out from under you if you don't read it correctly. So, and I hope that this ain't the case, but that's what it sounds like. It sounds like this thing is going to come out from under Jackson very easy, with just because of the jargon that's being disseminated, or just being wrote down or expressed on this on paperwork. So I just hope that the attorney for the city of Jackson, Drew Martin, I hope he got a team with him. I hope that cat got a team with him, because he can't do this by himself. He can't do this by himself. Because these cats, some of them attorneys out there, he got some attorneys out there that's real clever. They're real clever. So, but like I said, everything was so, in my mind, it was scrambled. It was scrambled. I watched that video 3 times, and it just still seems very scrambled to me. So, but anyway, I wanted to talk about the water, because that right there is like that directly affects you too. But that really affects you more. It affects you more than than the airport. They trying to, everything is up under, y'all know Judge Wingate got this thing. He's in the middle of this. You know, he's in the middle between the water company and the city council. You got it all tied in. They're trying to come up with solutions. Mayor Horn is trying to come up with some solutions, working with the Senate. They got some type of 13 type stakeholder panel that they're trying to develop, and they're talking about everybody's, the folks, the stakeholders is going to be some non-Jackson folks like City of Ridgeland that receives services from the City of Jackson, and Byram that receives service from the City of Jackson. You know, the Nissan plant. You know, you're going to have a lot of folks that's going to be like stakeholders in this particular, I want to call it this panel. It's, you know, it's going to be this committee. So moving forward, you know, but the thing about it is that the council is concerned, because the council is saying, hey, okay, yeah, y'all got all that, but I just hope one of us could have a seat at this table. One of us, because ultimately, when it's all said and done, the residents is gonna be looking at us. They're gonna give us phone. We're gonna get the phone calls. So, do we have a dog in this fight, or don't we have a dog in this fight? And if we have a dog in this fight, you know what I'm saying? Then our dog need to be at the best pedigree. In other words, we need to have a seat at this table. See, they're trying to keep you can't keep the local legislation out of the loop. And, you know, Grizel made a very good point. Harley made a very good point. You can't sit here and put paperwork in front of us and give us 48 hours to get it done and think we're going to pass this thing. That ain't going to happen. We got to go over this mess, and then we got to go in for a discussion. It's not going to happen. Here, where it's been sitting on their desk for 3 or 4 months, then they're going to come and bring it to the city council. Yeah, Grizel was right. Grizel was like, he's asking, he's like, who wrote this? Who drafted this right here? And that's a very valid question. Because what I'm thinking in my mind is, when we know who drafted this, what do they got to gain? Or what input do they have in this? Time for them games is over with. You citizens, you need to know what's going on. You citizens need to know what's going on. If you hadn't reviewed it, I'm telling you what's up. Citizens need to know what's going on with this water. The federal government got it, yes. Hennepin got it, yes. But the main issue now, Ward 1 council member Foote made a statement. Very good statement. Now, what's up with this billing? This billing been going. He said the billing had been jacked up for about 11 years since he came on. The billing been jacked up, and I believe it because mine been jacked up, and a lot of other folks have been jacked up. But the mayor, the mayor stand 10 toes down. Yeah, we trying to work with folks so we can get a comprehensive plan on discussing, folks that hadn't received bills, their water turned on, folks that ain't paying their bills, folks that's in hardship. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody doing anything about that. And the building system is just jacked up. I've been saying that from the get-go. And it was like, well, they hope that the government fixes it, whatever, whatever. But the government inherited it. When they came in, it was already jacked up. But once again, last but not least, I have got to, my hat has got to come off to Sister Clay. Because Sister Clay is what's called dead on balls accurate. There's more to this than meets the eye. We need to address it. We got advisors for everything else. Why don't we get an advisor for this? She was dead on balls accurate. Whether you like her or you do not. Yo, she a winner. I didn't understand where she was coming from when I first was viewing her. I didn't. I just sat back and just watched. Just watched. Because you got to kind of sit back and watch when somebody's new. So you can kind of see. She was very poised at one point. Kind of, she was sitting back and she was just kind of, and she would throw in something for a minute and then come in and get out and then sit back. But she was dead on balls accurate. My shouts out goes to all of them, all 7 members, every last one of them. All 7 members of those council members. Shouts out goes to all of them for the efforts that they have made, in the page that they're on. They're all on the same page. It ain't like that bullshit up in Flint. 9 members, 5 here, 4 there. No, they on point. I love their unity. They understand what it means when they say my colleague. That means when they say that, whenever I hear one of the Jackson members say my colleague, they say I'm with my colleague on this. If I disagree with you, but you know what I'm saying, we're gonna find some commonality. That's what I hear when I hear the Jackson City Council. So I mean, that's just my opinion on that. But this water thing has got to be fixed. You got people, people's bill saying one thing, then when you call the telephone number, like to pay your bill, it says another. What does that mean? What is that about? Am I paying this amount or am I paying that amount? Because I just pay what I can afford. But I just pay what I can afford. Period. Point blank. It's a payment. I made a payment because they asked you, do you want to pay another amount? Why would that option be there if they didn't want you to pay another amount? So, I mean, this is what we talking about. But, you got a lot of people out there that's got bills, that's got water, that just got services. They don't even get no bills. They don't even know what the bill is. And then you all come and then all of a sudden you get it fixed. You're gonna send them a $10,000 bill. Nah. They should have been had that mess fixed. They should have been had that stuff fixed. They should have been had it fixed. Everybody clean slate. When the meters was all screwed up, they really screwed up with the meters. That's where it screwed it up at. They should have just wiped everybody's bill out. Fix the billing system, wipe everybody's bill out, and everybody start off fresh. Simple as that. I mean, it's simple as that. Now, moving forward, if your asses don't pay your bill, you get shut off. You get a notice. Simple as that. Works just like everybody else. You don't pay your bill, you get a fucking notice, and it's time for you to. If you're gonna pay it or you ain't. But they should have done that. I think that's what they should have done when they fixed that billing. They should have fixed the billing when they changed the meters. They should have fixed the billing too. Yeah, but that's my rant. I just wanted to come on here today because I wanted to talk about that because that's something that really, really needs to be discussed because this is an ongoing thing, and it's like, how the hell you gonna put the pressure off on one man, Judge Wingate? He's not a god. He's just a mediator. Trying to get everybody opportunity so he can make an informed and adequate decision. I don't know what the Jackson Water is doing. I don't know what the city is. I don't know what the sewer is doing. But some mistakes has been made on decisions, and I understand they're trying to fix it. I understand they're trying to fix it now. I hope they do, and I hope it falls into the favor of us residents, because you deserve it. Because you as a taxpayer. And if you don't get what you want, take your tail to the ballot box. Don't worry about that shit that goes on up in Washington, D.C. Deal with your stuff from the local level, and you'll be fine. That's all I want to say for today. You were tuned into the Jackson Network. This is Real Jackson News. No fluff, no distractions. Just real news for the real Jackson residents, which is you. Y-O-U. If you find that this video is enlightening, yo, subscribe. Because I'm going on, I'm doing my thing on this thing, and we're going, if you're faithful to me, I'm faithful to you. But regardless of the fact, I'm going to be faithful anyway. Thanks for watching here.